Welcome everyone to the Malvern Retreat House. We're going to be taking a look at the first reading from Sunday, and it's taken from the book of the prophet Isaiah. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me. He has sent me to bring glad tidings to the poor, to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to captives and release to the prisoners, to announce a year of favor from the Lord and a day of vindication by our God. I rejoice heartily in the Lord. In my God is the joy of my soul. For he has clothed me with a robe of salvation and wrapped me in a mantle of justice. Like a bridegroom adorned with a diadem, like a bride bedecked with her jewels. As the earth brings forth its plants, and a garden makes its growth spring up, so will the Lord God make justice and praise spring up before all the nations. The word of the Lord, thanks be to God. So that passage is one of the most famous passages from the entire Old Testament. And what's important to notice is this: if you're reading from a lectionary, you'll see that the passage is really two separate parts. You can see there's an extra gap between the first part and the second part. That's usually a little, it's not a little, usually that's pretty important, because it's telling you, the reader, or if you're a lector at Mass, it's telling the lector that it's really taken from two different parts. And lots of times there's two different themes in the first part and the second part. So it's a small little thing, but just notice the extra gap in a reading, and it just helps you to understand the reading a little better. So as I just said, there's really two different parts to this reading. The first part has Isaiah the prophet proclaiming that the Spirit of the Lord is upon him, that the Spirit of God, the strength of God, the wisdom of God has anointed him for a mission. So, it's Isaiah just saying, God has given me something to do, and he's equipped me to do it. Then in the second part, he begins to tell us what that mission is. He says his mission is to proclaim glad tidings to all people. Glad tidings. Now, sometimes that's translated as good news. So, to share glad tidings with people, to share good news with people, and that's where the word gospel comes from. In the New Testament, glad tidings or good news starts to be called the gospel. And the person who brings the good news is Jesus Christ. So, the poor are especially going to be the recipients of this good news, of this glad tidings. Then Isaiah says that the joy he feels with the mission that God has given him is the same type of a joy that a bridegroom and a bride have. Isaiah is just kind of pumped. He's psyched about this great mission that he has to bring glad tidings to everybody. He also says that he's just not bringing this good news to the Jewish people, that all the nations of the world will witness what God is doing for the Jewish people, and there will be praise for God rising up from all the nations of the world. So this hints at the universality of the mission of Isaiah and how God is going to use the Jewish people to bless all the nations of the world. Okay, we have started this program here called Connections. It's just a soft launch. And in the Connections program, we encourage people to see what the connection is between the first reading and the gospel. Now, usually I kind of do that for people. But the first reading and the gospel are always connected by some common theme or a common or a shared topic. And that's the way the church has designed the lectionary. The first reading and the gospel connect. So I would encourage you to read the gospel and to see the connections between this first reading and the gospel. Also, reading the readings is much more important than my little commentary on them. So I really do encourage Catholics, but even non-Catholics, to read the readings throughout the week that we hear at the Sunday Mass. You don't need to read all the readings at the same time, but put a little reading plan together, a spiritual reading plan. And maybe on Monday, read the first reading. Tuesday, read the Psalm. Wednesday, read the second reading. And then on Thursday, the Gospel. And read it prayerfully, reflect on it, and just allow it to kind of seep into your spirit. Okay, thanks everyone. Come back tomorrow and we'll have a teaching on the responsorial psalm. God bless you.